Peace and blessings. In the previous study, we saw a lying spirit persuade Ahab to go and fall at Ramoth Gilead. So in this study, I want to make sure that we walk in truth. So I want to begin in John chapter 4, verse 19, the story of the woman at the well. The woman saith unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. Yeshua saith unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. Ye worship ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him. God is spirit, and they that worship him must worship in spirit and in truth. So we see that truth is important because God is expecting the true worshipers to worship him in spirit and in truth. So I want to go to Psalm 145, verse 18. Yahuwah is nigh unto all that call upon him, to all that call upon him in truth. So first it says that he is nigh to all who call upon him, but then clarifies that they need to call upon him in truth. Let's move to Psalm 119, verse 43. And take not the word of truth utterly out of my mouth, for I have hoped in thy judgments. So here we see the word of truth being linked to judgments. Let's move down to verse 142. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. So here we have God's law being linked to the truth. 151. Thou art near, O Lord, and all thy commandments are truth. 160. Thy word is true from the beginning, and every one of thy righteous judgments endureth forever. So in these passages, we have God's law, his judgment, and his commandments all being linked to truth. Psalm 51, verse 6. Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom. So we've already seen from studying the new covenant what it is that God puts in our inward parts, right? It's his law. But now we see his law not only being linked to truth, but also to wisdom. So let's move to Zechariah chapter 8 and verse 3. Thus saith Yahuwah, I am returned unto Zion, and will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. And Jerusalem shall be called a city of truth, and the mountain of Yahuwah of hosts, the holy mountain. So to find out why Jerusalem will be called the city of truth, we're going to go to Micah chapter 4. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of Yahuwah shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow unto it. And many nations shall come and say, Come, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, and to the house of the Elohim of Jacob. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. So again, it's reinforcing the law will go forth from Jerusalem and the word of Yahuwah, and that's why it's going to be called the city of truth. Now we're going to take a look at an example of people who didn't continue in God's truth and the result of it. Malachi 2, let's start verse 1. And now, O ye priests, this commandment is for you. If ye will not hear, And if ye will not lay it to heart, to give glory unto my name, saith Yahuwah Sabaoth, I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Yea, I have cursed them already, because ye did not lay it to heart. Behold, I will corrupt your seed and spread dung upon your faces, even the dung of your solemn feasts, and shall take you away with it. And ye shall know that I have sent this commandment unto you, that my covenant might be with Levi, saith Yahuwah Sabaoth. My covenant was with him of life and peace, and I gave them to him for the fear wherewith he feared me, and was afraid before my name. The law of truth was in his mouth, and iniquity was not found in his lips. He walked with me in peace and equity, and did turn many away from iniquity. For the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his mouth, for he is the messenger of Yahuwah Sabaoth. But ye are departed out of the way. Ye have caused many to stumble at the law. Ye have corrupted the covenant of Levi, saith Yahuwah Sabaoth. Therefore have I also made you contemptible and base before all the people, according as ye have not kept my ways, but have been partial in the law. So here we see God is saying he's cursing their blessings. So the good things are even going to be a curse. And we see he keeps calling himself the Lord of hosts, Yahuwah of armies. So it's almost like a warfare between the priests and Yahuwah. But furthermore, we see the law is supposed to be in the priest's mouth, and his lips should keep knowledge. So the law is now being equated with knowledge, wisdom, and truth. So I want to take a look at an example of somebody who did walk in the law and the result of that. We're going to go to 2 Kings chapter 20 and start reading at verse 1. In those days was Hezekiah sick unto death, and the prophet Isaiah, the son of Amoz, came to him and said unto him, Thus saith Yahuwah, set thine house in order, for thou shalt die and not live. Then he turned his face to the wall and into Yahuwah, saying, I beseech thee, O Yahuwah, remember now how I have walked before thee in truth and with a perfect heart, and have done that which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore. And it came to pass, afore Isaiah was gone out into the middle court, that the word of Yahuwah came to him, saying, Turn again, and tell Hezekiah the captain of my people, Thus saith Yahuwah, the God of David thy father, I have heard thy prayer, I have seen thy tears, behold, I will heal thee. On the third day thou shalt go up unto the house of Yahuwah, and I will add unto thy days 15 years. So Hezekiah petitions God on the basis that he has walked in truth before him. And as a result, God hears him and adds 15 years to his life. So I'm going to go over to chapter 18 and let's see what this truth is that Hezekiah walked in. Now, it came to pass in the 3rd year of Hoshea, son of Elah, king of Israel, that Hezekiah, the son of Ahaz, king of Judah, began to reign. 25 years old was he when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Abi, the daughter of Zechariah. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that David his father did. He removed the high places and brake the images and cut down the groves and brake in pieces the brazen serpent that Moses had made. For unto those days the children of Israel did burn incense to it, and he called it Nehushtan. He trusted in Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, so that after him was none like him among all the kings of Judah, nor that were before him. For he clave to Yahuwah, and departed not from following him, but kept his commandments, which Yahuwah commanded Moses. So the the truth that Hezekiah walked in was the commandments that Yahuwah gave to Moses. And we see him actually in action breaking down all these idolatrous images and places that they had set up. We look at the brazen serpent that Moses made. Now, if you're not familiar with this story, you can find it in Numbers chapter 21. And this is the story where the children of Israel complained against God, and he sent fiery serpents among them in the wilderness. And those serpents started to kill them off. So Moses made a brazen serpent and lifted it up so that anybody who looked at that serpent would be healed. Now, this symbol that Moses made, Israel has started to burn incense to it. So when Hezekiah came on the scene, there was idolatry present, but he cut all of it off. And Yahuwah respected him so much for that he added 15 years to his life at his petition. So now we're going to go to John 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. Skipping down to 14. And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. And we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bare witness of him and cried, saying, was he of whom I spoke. He that cometh after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. Verse 17 says, for the law was given by Moses, grace and truth came by Yeshua. So it has the word but here, but if you look at the word in the Greek, there is no but there. It just says, for the law through Moses was given, grace and truth through Yeshua came. And in verse 16 it says, and his fullness have all we received, and grace for grace. So it's a two-part process. First, the law was given by Moses, and then Yeshua came to bring the fullness of the law, meaning its promises and everything that it spoke about. So if we go to John 8:31, then said Yeshua to those Jews which believed on him, if you continue in my word, then you are my disciples indeed, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. So I'm going to jump over to John 17:16. They are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. Sanctify them through your truth. Your word is truth. From here, I want to move to Mark chapter 12, verse 28. And one of the scribes came, and having heard them reasoning together, and perceiving that he had answered them well, asked him, which is the first commandment of all? And Yeshua answered him, the first of all the commandments is, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment. And the second is like, namely this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. There is no other commandment greater than these. And the scribe said unto him, well, master, thou hast said the truth. For there is one God, and there is none other but he. So notice that Yeshua was asked a question regarding the greatest commandments in the law. And he responds with first the Shema, Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. And he follows it up with love thy neighbor as thyself, which is Leviticus 19:18. So he responds with two commandments out of the law. And these two commandments summarize what it is that the law strives to teach us, which is to love God, to love our neighbor, and to love ourselves. And the scribe responds, you have said truth. So if we go up to verse 13, it says, and they sent unto him certain of the Pharisees and of the Herodians to catch him in his words. And when they were come, they say unto him, Master, we know that thou art true and carest for no man, for thou regardest not the person of men, but teachest the way of God in truth. Is it lawful to give tribute to Caesar or no? Shall we give or shall we not give? But he, knowing their hypocrisy, said unto them, why tempt ye me? Bring me a penny, that I may see. And they brought. And he saith unto him, whose is this image and superscription? And they said unto him, Caesar's. And Yeshua answering said unto them, render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. And they marveled at him. There is a very beautiful truth in this passage, because he says, whose image and superscription or writing is it on this coin? And they said Caesar's. And he said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar, and unto God what is God's. So the underlying truth there is, where is God's image and writing? And if we go back to Genesis chapter 1, it says, and God created man in his image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. So when we look in the mirror, we are looking at the image of God. And if we are following him, then we are expecting his writing to be on our hearts, because that's what he's promised in the new covenant. So we need to render unto God what is God's. And what is God's? Honor, glory, respect, reverence, worship, and love. And this passage feeds so beautifully into the greatest commandment, where we are told to love God with all our heart. And in case you haven't noticed, God's love language is obedience. If you love me, keep my commandments. So that is a truth that we need to grab hold on. Go back to Psalm 15 in verse 1. Yahuwah, who shall abide in your tabernacle? Who shall dwell in your holy hill? He that walketh uprightly and worketh righteousness and speaketh the truth in his heart. So who is going to abide with Yahuwah? The one who speaks the truth in his heart, who has his word in his heart. It may seem like I'm drilling about Yah's word and his laws and his statutes and his ordinances and his commandments. And that's because I am. Because it is important that we grab hold to truth. And it has been shown that the truth is God's law. It is his word. In the days of Yeshua and the disciples, they had from Genesis to what we now see as Malachi, the way that our books are ordered. So any information and any instruction that we get after, we need to test against what is already written there. Because a lying spirit or a lying word we see led Ahab to his death. So we have to test the spirit. To end, I'm going to go to Proverbs chapter 12. 19. The lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. So thank you again for joining me. Feel free to drop any comments, concerns, agreements, or disagreements in the comment section below. I hope that this study has blessed you and inspired you to search further into Yah's word. May Yahuwah bless you and keep you. May Yahuwah shine his face upon you and be gracious to you. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace.